What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for July 22nd, 2024. We had more Evo patches, and it's getting closer, but still no Wave 1. Jump points were the hot topic this week, and ISC had its 500th episode. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Stop by and say hello if you guys haven't yet. But before we get into the video, let me share with you today's sponsor. And this one's kind of funny. This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that is revolutionizing the landscape of men's grooming. Did you ever want to buy an 890 jump for your balls? Well, in the sea of options to choose from to perfect your grooming routine, Manscaped undoubtedly shines. And now, by popular demand, they are riding the white-hot waves into their new special edition trimmer in white. Step up your grooming routine this summer with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in white hot. Experience precision like never before with the next-gen dual-blade skin-safe blade heads and updated trimmer blade, and an interchangeable foil blade for peak performance. And here's where things start to get interesting. It's that foil blade which is designed to leave you with a finish that is irresistibly sleek and utterly bare. Now, if you're part of the original Manscaped family, this trimmer is a tribute to the classics, upholding the same features that we've all come to love: a rechargeable battery, RPM technology for top-notch performance, travel locks, seamless portability, USB-C charging, and more. Head over to manscaped.com and grab yours now. When you use my promo code SaltEMike, you'll get 20% off plus free international shipping at checkout. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code SaltEMike at manscaped.com. Make this summer the smoothest one yet. So thanks for checking out Manscaped. Yes, an 890 jump for down there, but we got a big one today, so let's jump right into those patch notes. All right, and we had 3 patches this week, starting out with Tuesday. I think this was one of the more unstable tests that we've had in quite a while, which is obviously concerning. I found it hard to accomplish anything, and all I was looking to see is if I could share a cargo mission with someone. In terms of the Hull C and docking, it wasn't much better, and I think in testing chat, they said they had more fixes on the way. I still see the fun factor here, but they really need to get some stuff fixed, and it's slow going. Wednesday, they adjusted the mission cargo prices if you stole it or the mission failed and you wanted to sell what you had left at like Grimhex or something, but I'm not sure how much it went up and down. Honestly, this is something I just didn't test. I'm more thinking on the lawful side, less on the piracy side. I really should have checked this, and I apologize for not knowing the exact numbers. For bugs, they may have fixed the final issues around those docking collars like they were alluding to on Tuesday. I'm not going to confirm anything though, because we know that it's going to be broken after it goes live in like 5 minutes, right? That's just how these docking collars have been. They have been super problematic for whatever reason. Thursday, they bumped the mission payouts up because the community was very vocal about these low payouts on both Star Citizen Live, Inside Star Citizen, things like that, and what people had seen in Evo. Now, what we saw was that they were really low still, but for a good reason. Because when you look at the bug fixes, they also fixed the progression in the patch. So we started out with only the entry-level mission, and due to the instability of the patch and the length that it was not open all weekend, it was impossible, or not impossible, but it was very difficult to gain enough rep to see all of those missions for myself and the other people that were playing. So unfortunately, not really seeing what the end game missions are looking like yet, but I'm sure we'll see that soon when we get a little bit more stable. Speaking of stability, Friday test preview was a thing, and they were testing server meshing stuff. It was on the 324 build, but meshing was not involved, right? There was no, there weren't 2 servers or anything like this. This is them dealing with things on the hardware side again. I did not test this one personally. Honestly, guys, I'm just starting to get burned out from Evo testing pretty hard right now, but this was trying to figure out the queue issues. If you ever heard of them mentioning things going into a queue, that would be getting out of your bed. That could be opening a UI. That could be anything that gets stuck in a queue on the server. The server gets bogged down and it can't handle it. This test was to try to resolve some of those issues, and some things were better, but other things were not. So hopefully they got some good data, and hopefully it will improve in the long term. But with that, that's all we really had from this week. They did say that they are working through the blockers, and there is kind of hope that Wave 1 is going to be soon coming out of testing chat from Wikipedia, but this is the same Wikipedia that said Evo would be soon for like a month straight. So I don't know how close we are on any of these things. We'll have to see, but fingers crossed for the 4th week in a row that I'll be showing you Wave 1 in the next week in review. Now, with that, let's jump into the meat of today's show, video updates. So no Star Citizen Live this week, but we did have an Inside Star Citizen on jump points. And this episode was far more than just visually pleasing. They made a really big change to how we knew jump points to work for like years now.
So a jump point is basically the means at which a player is able to transition from one solar system to another. There are 2 different jump point experiences, permanent and transient.
The permanent jump points are the ones that are the most stable, and they are always available for the player to travel through.
It's the well-trafficked, well-traveled route that most people will go through.
Which you find on the star map. The ones that you would like, say, transition from Stanton to Pyro, Pyro to Stanton.
Since they're stable and generally larger and easier to travel, there are infrastructure built up around them to support the commerce that goes through them on a regular basis. So we made a creative decision to remove the circular gates that we were doing in some of the concept art before. It just didn't match the reality of how we wanted to set these up in the world. They're supposed to be naturally occurring. And if you have like this infrastructure around it making this circular jump gate, then that's not showing like how it actually functions in the world.
We've lost the sort of size restriction when it comes to permanent jump points. So the main jump points that lead from system to system will accept any size ship.
Transient jump points are more ethereal.
First you have to find them, and once you've found them, you don't know where they go.
We like to call in the narrative team the Swiss cheese approach to jump points, which are smaller access points to the main tunnel. Those will still be restricted by small, medium, and large. So basically it opens up opportunities for smaller ships to kind of sneak their way through.
A transient jump point may only be able to use once. It may be a little bit more permanent, but you can never tell how long does it last once you find it.
If people are looking to avoid scrutiny, we'll look for these sort of side routes to get into the jump point to bypass, security or customs or stuff like that.
So the idea of stable jump points being large is the biggest change, but the idea of transient jump points adds so much more to the game than the previous approach, where players with really large ships may not be able to go through certain jump points and have to take longer routes. For example, the Pyro jump point is a medium jump point in the old way, so a whole sea couldn't go through it. Now it can, but this provides exploration gameplay, smuggling gameplay, PvP ops, and more. It's really like a smart choice. I really like this, actually. These will not be in 4.0, though. They said the only jump point will be the large jump point between Stanton and Pyro to Stanton. And even as someone who played the first jump point test, they walk us through their updated process, and it's updated for traveling through the point.
So we leave Lorville, we put it onto our star map, and we set our course for the Stanton to Pyro jump point. QT there. And then upon arrival, you will fly down to the gateway station that's located there, because you're going to want to make sure that you're stocked up for your trip into Pyro, because Pyro may well not have the things that you're used to in Stanton. You probably want to pick up some ammo, and you want to pick up some more fuel, probably some more fuses, and then after that, undock, and then turn yourself to view the jump point.
The jump points will be visible from far distance. It probably will appear as a small star kind of a thing that just pulses and asks you to come near me.
You'll see the massive whirlwind from the gravity pool that the jump point itself is creating, which is a gas cloud, and you'll see it in various different colors or forms. You can fly towards where the jump point will be, and there is structures in Stanton that sort of lead you towards the jump point.
When you approach the jump point, what you'll hear is the general ambience of the whole area, whether that's the distant portal emitting energy or violent clashes of thunder that is drawing the player into the central jump zone. And as we get closer, this will build up, and the player will feel like they're being drawn into something primordial.
With jump points, multiple players can take them at the same time, so it is probably likely that you will encounter other players waiting to make their jumps.
And you'll also see like the security and the turret infrastructure around it that's providing a safe experience on the permanent jump gates.
In order to perform your jump, the first thing you need to do is get closer to the jump point.
But you won't be able to go all the way up to it. Like when it's not active yet, it has a field around it that will push you away until you've attuned to the anomaly that allows you to go through.
You have to call ATC. The anomaly needs ATC to be able to allow you to enter.
When you're using a jump point, you're actually just an individual. So the ATC calls that you have to make are for you, and then the groups that you go in are designated by the ATC.
If you contact ATC at the same time, you can be put into the queue together, but there's no guarantee that you'll be in the same jump group.
If you want to jump with your friends, you need to make sure that you arrive together, and when you call ATC, you will be able to see how much space is in the group. So if you have friends and you want to jump together, you'll be able to know exactly how much room there is in that group. And if it's not enough for you and you want to go with your friends later, then you can forfeit and you go again.
In the future, I definitely want to have some more quality of life features where you can get into queue at the ATC as a party. But currently our ATC does not support queuing as a party, so you'll just be doing it as an individual.
Now, first off, that mustache was incredible, right? Like, we can't ignore that. That's obviously the first thing we have to talk about, but it was also cool that every discipline shared their process. Now, the process seems generally fine to me, calling ATC, stuff like that, but the group system seems ridiculous and just insane. The fact that it is not a feature in Star Citizen in 2024 that I can jump with my party is, honestly, it's just unacceptable. And it feels like they're doing a massive amount of settling to just get this out and get it in our hands. And yeah, this is, they keep talking about an MMO, right? And then they're not doing the things to, really support MMO gameplay. So it's a bit unsettling and a bit weird. And I think this is really going to be an issue for group play and PvP until it's resolved. And at the end, they kind of stated that they obviously want to resolve it, and this is something they want to do in the future. But in the future, the future's now with Star Citizen. There's no more in the future. You got to start doing things right the first time, right? That's where we're at right now. Then they continue with the jump point process. And sorry for the long clips, but it has caused a lot of controversy, the things that they've said. So I want all of CIG's words, as much as we can, to be heard before we make our own assumptions.
Once you are within range of it, you need to be changing over to nav mode. Your UI will automatically change to the jump drive UI,
which will allow you to know if you're aligned, if you're tuned, if you can go in, if it's blocked. You have a visual input of the UI, the HUD is moving, is turning until you have a message notification that tells you, all right, you're aligned. If you look away, of course, that will trigger the cancellation of that alignment. If you move away from your position, you'll lose probably your position in the queue. You'll have red markers that tells you, or you're on the wrong side, you have to move to that direction. You'll have also kind of like a landing strip where you have the lights that tells you you have to go in through this area. So you'll have those rings that pulse and tell you you're correctly aligned.
So as soon as the ATC has gotten to your group and you're now able to use the jump gate, your jump drive will start attuning to the gate.
And once you have authorization and you have opened the wormhole, you'll have the tuning visual that's really similar to the aligning, but with tuning messages that tells you what you need to do. And once that's done, you'll have tuning access and you'll be ready to go inside.
While your ship is attuning, you'll see rippling in the anomaly, and as soon as you are attuned, then you can fire a burst of quantum energy into the portal that will rip it open, and you'll have a gate in space that allows you to see the tunnel beyond and travel to your new star system.
When it opens, you'll hear the space around the jump point being ripped apart and everything being drawn into it. A really guttural, swirling sound of all the space around the jump point being dragged into this one singularity.
During this drawing process, the ships are drawn in automatically. You don't have to control anything. You don't have to do anything. There is, in fact, nothing you can do that would stop you being drawn in.
So the plan right now is if there's any obstructions in front of you when you're trying to attune to the gate, that'll break your attunement. So if somebody gets in your way while you're trying to attune, your attunement will pause until that obstruction has gone away. However, if anybody gets too close to the jump gate and they're not attuned, then they're going to get pushed away, which should clear the area for anybody who's trying to get through.
So for the people who want to block a jump point, we are actually considering our options as to how to prevent that from happening.
So this process now seems incredibly involved, long, and tedious. I also think the mention of blocking is just asking for people to do this, and we know any in-game laws, fines, or jail time have no bearing on people just being dumb, right? It's the internet. It's dumb. CIG also hasn't proven that they can provide proper solutions to issues like this because the AI can't handle it, right? It's an AI issue, it's a server issue, and it's not necessarily these guys can't do it, the devs are so bad or something like that. It's just the servers can't do it, and the choices they made are getting in the way, right? And I'm really excited to jump through Pyro and back, but I do worry this will be less of a choke point for PvP and more like a traffic jam if we get a lot of players on a server. Like, can this even scale, right? Now we are finally in the jump point, and I really hope CIG, please, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't, please.
You will not see two-lane traffic inside the jump tunnel itself. In the jump tunnel, you'll see the ships ahead of you, and if you look behind, you'll be able to see ships that are in range behind you, but you won't see traffic going the other direction.
Why do you hate fun?
It's not that I hate fun, it's that I want everybody to have a good experience in this tunnel, and if there's other ships that you can collide with, we want to avoid that kind of situation.
The players' ships, when they're traveling in the tunnel, are going to be in a line. So it's going to be, the term that we use internally is ducks in a row. So one ship behind another ship behind another ship.
There'll be some obstructions in some of the tunnels which you have to dodge around. But for the most part, it's a matter of turning and navigating through the tunnel and not hitting the sides.
Because the closer you are to the edge of the tunnel, the more likely you are to fail your jump.
The edges of those tunnels and those obstructions cause distortion damage to your ship.
There's a pool on your jump drive, and if this pool fills with distortion, then your jump drive will shut down. If your jump drive does shut down, then you're going to fail that jump.
You get booted out of the tunnel, and there's a number of places in the system where you could end up based on like how long you've been in the tunnel. You could end up back in Stanton, or you could be in Pyro, but you're not going to be at where you wanted to be. You're going to be at the edge of the system somewhere and have to find your way back.
Currently, the jumps that we are toying with are about 3 minutes, but this is still open to iteration based on how many ships we want to have in that tunnel, how close they are, and the trip needs to be long enough in order to cover the transition from your origin system to your destination system.
So it's a long loading mini game, and not a loading screen, but it's a loading screen essentially. The ducks in a row idea, they want to keep the mini game and not hit each other, but they, because they want to do the mini game of not hitting the sides. And if we can go side to side, then we might run into each other. Yeah, that seems fine. That seems fair. I get it. I get the ducks in a row idea because of that. The idea of failing a jump point is, it's getting people thinking that it will be a way to avoid gate camping. And while that might be true, I do hope there is a proper consequence for failing. Sounds like a little bit of distortion damage, but who knows what their plans are with that fully. I think we'll find out eventually. but what they said doesn't seem like enough consequence. The next one was the most confusing for players, it seems.
When you are arriving via a jump point, you will realize that you aren't actually coming through the same entryway that you would have been passing through to go to the next system. Players will not be able to necessarily camp that point just for you to exit it. The intention is that there will be multiple locations where you will exit to, and so this will mitigate that threat.
It's kind of a shotgun approach coming out of the jump gate because we don't want everybody to be slamming right into each other. We want to be able to spread the ships out that are coming through and get your own view of your new setting and where you're at.
So when you come out of the pyro side of the jump gate, you should come out into completely different space than on the Stanton side. So it's sort of like a cave of gas. There's also some structures that lead you directly towards the station. You can do anything you like there. It's just a normal R&R station that is just nice and safe before you go out into pyro itself, which is more dangerous, of course.
Okay, wow. The more I actually watch this, the less it makes sense to me. The reason for the shotgun approach is based on feedback from tests that I've been a part of. I landed in pyro the first time and died immediately because I crashed into someone. But the idea that people could be camping both sides of these locations is a thing. It is a real issue that is absolutely going to happen. First, the jump groups, depending on the size, you might not be together in a group with your friends. Then, if you are in a group with your friends, it sounds like you're going to spawn on the other side at random around the gate, away from your teammates, essentially being a sitting duck. I can already hear people saying, but on ISC they said you would be safe, because at the end they said that. But you won't be all the time, right? And the only change I would like for us to kind of see here is that we land together as a group and maybe be on rails for a second and perhaps invulnerable, and then be able to address anything around us. Like, I'm always told as a miner and a hauler that when I'm traveling, I should bring friends. And if my friend that's defending me is going to be 20 kilometers away from me, what's the point, right? And then lastly, they just wrap things up with a few extra bits that are pretty interesting.
We've already shown on the tech preview that you can enter a jump gate and come out the other side, and we've got the ability to transfer servers. We've got that working even better than we ever thought we could at the beginning. We want to make the experience of going through the tunnel as seamless as possible. We don't want it to be super hard, but we want it to be engaging. We're going to save the challenging experience, the super hard acrobatics for the transient gates when we get to them.
We're dialing in the numbers about how many people jump at the same time, distance between ships, precisely the speed at which ships move down the tunnel, things like that. There's a lot of variables involved in balancing it, and there will be far more testing in the tech preview channel for jump points, so you can look forward to helping us figure out there.
I'm glad it sounds like the stable jumps will be engaging, but not over challenging, I guess. And I am more glad that they are teasing more testing on this, because they're going to need it, because we are confused. And I think we need to really break this down and show them sort of what we're capable of, so they can come up with the solutions to prevent us from being as stupid as we're likely to be, right? As problematic as we're likely to be. They need to get the data for 4.0, but really, they need to get this stuff figured out for 1.0. And at the end of the show, Jared said that this was their 500th episode of weekly shows. From Wingman's Hangar to Around the Verse to Inside Star Citizen, it's changed a lot. And it's probably in the best state that it's ever been. And I really look forward to more, and I've really enjoyed being a part of the process of watching this thing grow. I don't think I've missed a single episode of any of these shows from the very first until now. And nobody better than to have Jared at the helm. As much as I've given him crap on this show and others, there is no one better there, and you should be proud. And congratulations, Jared and team. You guys are doing awesome. Keep it up. It really just comes down to whenever I'm mad about it, it's just because I want more of it. Right? So keep doing it. You guys are doing great, and we appreciate you. And for other updates, as always, we start with a sneak peek. These look like landing gear for an RSI ship, so probably the Polaris or Zeus. And yeah, it's landing gear, and I think we should start expecting this kind of stuff as there is a sale coming up in November. And I know that sounds ridiculous to say in July, but this tends to be what they do. They start to sneak peek their big sale, which I think is IAE coming up in November, so we'll start to see those kind of things. So Zeus, things like that. And like, guys, we saw the Santokia like 35 times in a sneak peek, so that was a real thing. Then for dev posts, we only have a couple here. The UI and UX issues with freight elevators and item banks were asked about on Spectrum, and we got a nice answer that kind of the team is actually implementing a search function, and the search bar is in the Evo patch now, but non-functional, so that's pretty cool. Auto stacking is something they want to do, maybe. I'm not sure based on this, but not sure when it'll get done if they do. And if you weren't aware, you can open containers in both inventories now and item banks and organize loot better and move it around more freely. So they heard the feedback on that one, which is pretty cool, and I don't think I mentioned it last week on Week in Review. So there's another post about jump points, and Ed Fuller, who was on ISC, kind of addressed some of our concerns, but only really touched on a few of them. Transient jump points will be free-for-alls. You don't need to call an ATC to use them. They fear that people will skip lines and at the stable jump points, and it will cause a bunch of issues. So they want to use the ATC system for those because they think it might get bunched up. I think it's just going to cause more traffic, right? It's like putting a toll booth on a highway. The highway would move fine if there was no toll booth there, you know? So that's kind of a problem, and I think it's what's going to happen. But they also want them to be security gates, right? They want to prevent unlawful players from using these gates. So I think that is an idea of forcing people at these lawful systems and stuff like that to use gates that are transient instead of the stable ones. And I think that is a nice way of making it harder to be a pirate in Star Citizen. And I think that's what pirates want. Now, I still struggle to get past the fact that other games simply just like use a loading screen and swap star systems really easily and no issue, right? But given the size of Star Citizen and its scope, it can't happen, right? The wheel has been reinvented. It has to happen in this case, and there's no going back. And that's all I got for you guys this week. So thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And yeah, I do apologize for having such long video clips, but I think their words are gold, and their words are the most important things here. I posted on Spectrum asking for clarification on the group system and when you end up on the other side of a jump point, how that really works. I doubt we're going to get a post from a dev back on that because it's me, but I'm crossing my fingers that they do, because I am seeing people basically trying to figure out what that means and creating their own thoughts and ideas and speculating based on the ISC. There shouldn't be speculation. There should be clear and concise answers. And yeah, sometimes ISC is going to cause those issues, but that's what we have SCL for. So hopefully in a Star Citizen Live soon, that will clear up some of that confusion, or simply a little yellow dev post on Spectrum can go a long, long way. So fingers crossed, they don't need to respond to my post. They can make their own. But I do think the group issue is, needs some clarification. And I appreciate Ed clarifying the ATC stuff, but we'll have to see more on the other fronts that people are a little bit confused about. So with that said, guys, hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this week in review. Get subscribed if you really did. And yeah, leave a comment on anything I might have missed or anything you want to add to. And as always, be respectful in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next week.